Okay, our Zoom call with the three of us ended, and Missy had to go. So Jamia and I are going to continue our conversation now. And we were talking about this fact that there doesn't seem to be anybody who's neutral. Someone is either for the mask or against the mask, but does anybody out there know anybody who's neutral and doesn't really have an opinion?
I do have to say that I work with a gal that I think she might be a little neutral. I think she kind of stays neutral on everything,
Okay.
which is great. But you also don't want to ignore the facts either, because
Right.
I think a lot of times if you go just down that neutral, well, I'll do it if they tell me to, but I don't believe one way or the other. Well, are you going to be one of those people that gets on that boxcar? You know, are you just going to go along? Because conformity in this day and age, conformity is one of the worst things that a person can do. You almost, I was listening to a video this morning. This guy's great. I can't remember his name right now, but he's like, it's to the point now that you really do, like in using a term from reality, you don't want to get on that pendulum one way or the other, but we're almost to the point of we're having to take sides. Do you want to go down the road of social control, or do you want to go down the road to freedom? It's not about the R versus D. It's basically, the light against the dark, the good against the bad, because everything's being brought out in such definition. I mean, from child trafficking to all the horrendous things going on right now, to freedom, the patriot saying, you know what, enough is enough. Our freedom's away. What you're doing is unconstitutional. Really, if you think about it, Dee, is there a middle road? Is there a middle road to take? Because the middle road is basically you're ignoring everything and not helping any situation. So I don't know. Do you know anybody that's neutral?
I don't. And I mean, there's some people that I don't even talk about it at all with, right? Because
Right.
they really like go there or whatever. But it's like when we talk about light versus dark, the thing is the mask wearers think they're on the side of the light, protecting everyone else by doing that, not realizing that they're submitting to the,
Right.
so
Right. And I really honestly do believe all those people that are wearing the mask and submitting to that. I really do believe that they're loving people. I don't think, that they're horrible people or anything like that. I think that there is a mass manipulation going on. And one of the worst things a person can do is watch mainstream media and believe anything that they say. It's almost like if you watch mainstream media and they tell you something, it's probably the opposite.
Yeah.
And I believe that on both sides of even alternative sources,
right.
which I believe have a lot more truth, but not 100%. It's
because
like
they're infiltrating. They're infiltrating social media, and so now and all these alternative media is being infiltrated by those those powerful whoever they are that are controlling the media, and that have the ones that have planned this whole lockdown and have like those people. They're infiltrating now alternative media. So now you're getting confused about who's saying what, but then you have to more and more go with your heart and your gut. Like,
yes.
My heart and gut says that gagging your children and telling them that the reason you're doing it is because they could have a deadly virus that could kill some old person is traumatized. Like I go, in my heart, that doesn't seem right, and then the person doing that thinks that they're doing the right thing. And oh my God, I got to stop getting so emotional about it.
Well, I really do think that if someone was really in tune and want to be in tune and intuitive, you can look at any news article, post, anything like that, and you can tell for yourself which is true or not. I mean, there's things that I come across on social media, and I might want to believe it, I might, be on their side, whatever, but I will politely put in the comments, this doesn't feel right. And I don't really believe this post, further information needs to be out on this before it's posted out, because, and I've even told people before that on things that I knew that weren't right, I'm like, we as a patriot cannot post false articles to make the other side appear wrong or bad, because then we're lowering ourselves to that same level, and then who knows what to believe. It is imperative that you do your research and something is a fact before it's posted. And a lot of people just, they see something, they get emotional, they don't think about it, and they repost it. You can't think from an emotional level. You have to use logic. You have to use common sense. Now, there's a lot of things right now that aren't logical and they don't have common sense, just like the torture of children. I mean, I can't wrap my head around that, but the research, what's coming out, if you go to legitimate sites, the facts are there. The facts are there, and then you have something like happened yesterday with the judge that was going to proceed over the Jeffrey Epstein, that whole story.
I don't know that story. What happened?
Yesterday, someone dressed in a FedEx outfit went to the home and actually killed the son and I believe the wife, and it came out that it was the judge that was going to proceed over the Jeffrey Epstein and all of the information that was over that. So you have things like that come out. I mean, look at the deaths that have been associated with the Clintons and the Clinton Foundation, just one after the other after the other. You have a 25-year-old person that, mysteriously dies of a heart attack, and you have all of these suicides. And, I don't know about you, Dee, but I don't know of very many people in my life that has suicided themselves or have any murders associated. I mean,
well, just the fact,
but yet the Clinton Foundation and the Clintons have 72 deaths associated with them. Really? Yeah. That doesn't seem suspect.
I know, and that's the fact, and that's the thing, is that they got away with it like nothing was happening. You know what I mean? I mean, I guess maybe things are
Why? That's the question you should ask. Exactly. Why? Who has been in charge?
Yeah.
Who's in charge now?
Yeah.
Who's in charge now? And that's why these people that post pictures, and a lot of them, some of them, not all of them, some of them are photoshopped, trying to make it seem like Jeffrey Epstein and Donald Trump were these best friends.
I know.
They weren't. He kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago, said that he wasn't welcome there. The FBI agent came out and made a quote that Donald Trump was one of the few people coming out about Jeffrey Epstein and said he would testify against him.
Yeah. Yeah.
But the narrative is, I don't know. It's just, you have to look, question everything. Everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and now that Donald Trump's in office, who's been arrested? Jeffrey Epstein was arrested. This Ghislaine Maxwell's been arrested. She was higher up in the whole pedophile ring than Jeffrey Epstein, and nothing. So that's, you ask why? Why has
he was her puppet?
Exactly. So all of these things, don't ask the right questions. Why hasn't this ever come out before? Well, we have someone in office that's not cabal associated, and he wants the best. He's trying to bring all of this to light. He's trying to fix our monetary system, and they're not liking it. And it's going to get a little bit worse before it gets better. I really think when we get on the other side of this, it's going to be great. But you really have to watch your information. You have to know where to look. You have to question everything. And you have to think from your heart and common sense and logic, and swallow it and see if it feels right, to know where to go from there. And I always tell people, you want to look for facts. If you come across something, because there is some horrendous things out there. I mean, absolutely horrendous. If you can't take that, if you don't hold enough light to hold that darkness, don't look at it. Don't look at it. but at least you're familiar with it and you know it's there to where you can stay in your faith and your love, and that still helps defeat the darkness, because we have to bring this to light. It has to be brought to light. And anybody that's ignoring it and saying, oh, I just don't want that in my life, and I'm going to stay over here. We need to band together as human beings, as humans, okay? Because a lot of this is non-human.
Yeah.
They want to control us. It's a mass manipulation. Our children haven't been indoctrinated. That's got to stop. And we're trying to stop it, but we have to band together. We have to unify as human beings, human spiritual beings. That is what we have to do, period.
And how do we do that?
You got to stay in love, baby. You have to. You have to, as soon as your eyes wake up in the morning, get that feeling of love and that feeling of gratitude, and live in faith, and see how you want things to be, focus on how you want things to be, stay educated. I mean, I listen to the Patriot Intel Report. I listen to all these reports every day. But the difference is between me listening to it and maybe somebody else is I stay in that clarity of listening for information that feels right and being detached, knowing that the light always wins. God is winning, and God will win if we stay in that love. If we go down the path of fear, of separation, that's going to have a devastating effect, and it's going to be drug out longer and longer and longer. And that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to drag it out. That's this pandemic. It's not even, I mean, the numbers are there that it's ridiculous. Yeah. Then the whole race division.
I mean, didn't more people die of TB last year? Somebody was saying, and also the thing about it is, heart attacks have gone way down because those people are the virus, that whole thing. So it's like, anyway, we're on the same page about all that, but it's just.
No, the pneumonia, there's like no cases of pneumonia this year. And it's like, it's because they lumped it all in together. And those, and you don't have to go searching for those facts. I mean, they are readily available. I mean, there is so many wonderful doctors now. I don't know if you're familiar with Pam Popper. She has a fantastic YouTube.
Yes.
Pam Popper's great.
And I'm so glad she's got that whole thing happening, right? Where she's getting the people together and they actually have and all that. So that is wonderful. Like, I'm a Canadian, right? And so it's a little bit different. Like, thank God for me, where I live, I have not had to wear a mask. Right. And I've never put one on, and I never will. And I don't know what's going to happen. I might starve to death. I might end up eating leaves off the trees or whatever. But, I don't know, maybe I will succumb because I'll have to or something. But it's like I hear that there are places where you can't go to the store without putting a mask on. Right. And it's
where I live in Kansas City. It's a mask mandate. The governor and the mayor of Kansas City came out and said a mask mandate, and you can't go in the grocery store or whatever. Like I was saying, the gas station last night with my ex-husband, he couldn't even give the lady the $20 bill to go out and pump gas. It's a lot of people talk about prophecy and that sort of thing. Well, they were saying, they're going to have us microchip. That's a mark of the beast. No, the vaccine's a mark of the beast. I'm telling you, the way that it's getting, this mask is the mark of the beast, because I mean, a lot of places you can't buy or sell without having the mask on. And it's, I don't know, we'll get through it. I really do believe we're going to get through it. You have to have faith. You cannot go down that line of fear. You have to stay in your empowerment.
Right.
And I don't go along to get along. I mean, I speak up, but the other day, I mean, I didn't put the mask on until I got in the store, and then I barely put it here, like just right here. But I tell you what, I'm not going to put it over my nose. I'm not.
Yeah.
And then when I do that, only because I, have to, and I'm thinking about, trying to get an exemption. When I do that, I say to myself, I do not consent to this.
Good.
My intent of this mask is defeating the darkness, and this is my attempt to do that. So I'm not giving that energy to any sort of virus, fear, anything. It's used as a tool to defeat the darkness, not play into it.
Right.
Because everything's energy, as you know.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Energy and intent.
Yeah. And that's why probably the most important thing for anybody to do is keep your vibe up, keep your spiritual light on and all that, and do not be defeated, because it's like you're a powerful spiritual being filled with love and light, and don't let them suppress that in you.
Right. And their number one agenda right now is not having information come out. Making, to me right now, the conspiracy theorists are the ones that believe in the virus, are the ones that believe in the mask. Because actually all the facts are, because the facts are masks do no good. There's really not a virus.
Right.
So that's actually technically, the conspiracy theorists are the ones that saying that there is a virus going around and the masks do good, because there is no scientific proof on that.
Oh, I see. What you're saying is that they're the conspiracy theorists, not the ones
technically.
I see, because I see what you're saying, right? Yeah, it's
technically
reverse roles there, right?
Because there is facts. In fact, then actually there's tons of facts and information that prove that wearing a mask can cause lung disease, bacteria growth, cause all sorts of problems.
Inhaling when you exhale toxins. So now you're inhaling all the toxins, and you're going, and your body, the body of the person is going like, what do you I'm inhaling poison now,
Yeah. Plus you touch the mask, you've got all these germs around. It's like a little petri dish right over your face that you're breathing in.
Yeah.
It's causing all sorts of skin issues, acne, everything, across the face, because it's rubbing the face.
Yeah.
It's causing way more problems than a 0.003% chance of catching something. Plus, it's degrading our immunity. And I think that's one of the things about it, is why they're pushing the mask, especially on children, is because it reduces your immunity. So if your immunity is reduced, and then when it does get cold again, if they do introduce another biological weapon, how many more people are going to catch that, because you've got our immunity down?
Yeah.
People don't realize what they're doing to their body by wearing that mask all the time.
And then also, aren't they generating COVID-like symptoms by wearing the mask? Well, now you have COVID, right?
Exactly. Well,
respiratory and all that.
I have to wear a mask at work. I have to wear a mask at work because it's in a retail environment, right? So I have had problems with it ever since the 4th day into it. So I take it down and breathe whenever I can, and go to the bathroom and take it off and all of that good stuff. Well, I started developing. I got really, really sick. I knew I didn't have COVID. I'm intuitive enough to, I know my body. I did not have COVID. But in order for the doctor to see me, I had to have a COVID test. That was just last week.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So
and
I went and I said, well, that's fine, whatever. So I got it back and it was negative, which I was shocked, because how the numbers are all skewed. And that's another thing.
You could probably tell you were a troublemaker and didn't want to go there with you.
Plus two, the day before is when President Trump said, I want all of the COVID stuff sent to the White House instead of the CDC. And an interesting little tidbit about the CDC, did you know they own 20 patents on vaccines?
Well, I heard that, yeah.
Yeah, that's not a conflict of interest at all, is it? But anyway, so
now,
of course,
did they stick a Q-tip up your nose, or how did they do the test?
It wasn't a Q-tip. And I thought it was, I don't know, it was just a weird, it's this long little, it's a wire. It was a wire, and it had like, it looked like a little itty bitty tiny bristle brush. And then they stick it up in your nasal cavity. It was pretty quick, but it was very invasive. But I thought it was odd because the inside of the vial that he took it out of was moist. It was like, it had wetness in there. And I thought, if this doesn't come back positive, I'll be shocked, you know, because of all this stuff going on. But it did. It came back negative. But all of that, and I knew it was from the mask because it was a slow progression. And then when I would have a couple of days off, I would get better. Right. Then 2 days going back to work, I would get these symptoms worse. Well, it hit me hard last week, and I couldn't even, I mean, I could barely talk, and my throat hurt, and it was just in my chest and all of that. So since I had the COVID test, I couldn't go back to work because you're not allowed to go back to work. So that's been it's been a full week. And I feel so much better. I just have a little bit of rasp, and I can just, my chest is just a little bit tight, and huge difference. So I talked to my doctor earlier today, and I said, well, my concern is I go back to work on Friday, and in a few days, I'm afraid I'm going to get all of this back. Well, he said, well, you work in a retail environment because I can't give you an exemption to wear a mask. So I thought, where does my rights and my health come into play? I'm having to wear a mask. It's proven that it's making me sick, but I have to go ahead and wear it. So that tells you right there, something's not right. When my health is basically, well, you might get sick again, but you're going to have to go ahead and wear it. Where's my rights? So it's not about the virus. It's about submission. It's about muzzling. It's about, just like Missi said, it's about the satanic ritual. And there's a lot of information out there if you want to look. I don't want anybody to take my word for anything.
And same with the kneeling. You know, when they were having people kneeling.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? I don't really think most of that kneeling stuff, I don't think that was real. I really don't.
It was what?
I don't think it was real. I think people were paid to do that.
Oh yeah, yeah.
To put it out there.
They want people to do that though, and also they want people to feel guilty for being born white, you know. And it's like, I'm sorry, I have white skin. Okay, I'm sorry, you know. Yeah. But the thing is too is like, I don't know any racists. Like we're being told that there's a lot of racism, but the thing is look in your own life. Are your family and friends racist? And the thing is, people can make jokes or whatever, but they don't in their heart hate people because of their skin. They just don't. And so they're telling people that there's racism out there, and they're making these people outraged at the racism that's out there. And it's, meanwhile, it's not in their own experience, right? You know,
right.
And that's the divide and conquer thing. And the other thing is, like, absolutely. I thought they might not have known that this was going to divide us like this. This might be the big joke amongst them all, and they're laughing at that worked out. Like that was a happy accident. That they probably, well, I don't know, didn't know that it was going to divide us like this. They just thought they were going to tell us to wear masks, and we were going to wear the masks or whatever. Or maybe some people would object, but they didn't know that we were going to turn against each other, because this is what's happened. People have turned against each other, and people are fighting with each other.
And that's exactly what they want.
I know, and they're going, ooh, happy accident. They've turned against each other because, like, dividing.
Exactly what they want.
Yeah. And so, like, it worked out.
It's all a test.
We did it to ourselves, you know. They didn't even.
It was all a test.
And also,
all a test.
Did they think that everybody was just going to say, yeah, okay, we'll put a mask on, we'll use hand sanitizer, we'll stay, the social distancing thing, and what it's doing to children, teaching,
social distancing. I think I mentioned this before to you. The social distancing was actually put out there in the 80s by the CIA, and it's actually very detrimental to children. It's actually psychological abuse. We're social beings. It's the biggest bunch of hooey. There is no evidence whatsoever of doing any good. It's the whole thing together is a narrative to separate, divide, make people look at each other like there's something wrong with you. I could get sick from you. It's about division. It's
Yeah.
all about division, you know.
Yeah.
And that's just, I absolutely applaud the Black woman in New York, and I can't think of her name right now, and I'm sorry about that because she deserves that respect, that got out there with black paint and painted over the Black Lives Matter on the road in front of Trump Tower, and she was arrested. Good for her. More people need to stand up to that because she's smart enough.
Well, sorry, what did she do?
They went out in Antifa Black Lives Matter painted in yellow on the street, Black Lives Matter. Right. In yellow. She got black paint and went out there and painted over it. And she was arrested.
And what did she paint over it? Like she just got
rid of it.
Okay.
Got rid of it. And she was arrested.
Yeah.
Because she's standing up saying, this is not what we want. We want the police force. They protect us. And, you know, basically coming out and saying, people, you need to wake up, you know. Well, major respect for her.
Even the term Black Lives Matter is a term of separation, because it's like, why do I have to think that person's a Black person? You know what I mean? It's like like you're telling me that they're separate with that title, you know?
Right. And that's another thing. I mean, and they love that too, because even the term has people arguing. How many posts do you see that says all lives matter? And then they're arguing about that. It's like, come on, people. Yes. Come on. Just don't give that energy. Yes.
No.
Trust me, there's more people that know that all lives matter than not.
Exactly.
You know, do we have racists out there? There's a very small percentage. We have people that are racist in every single race that there is. There is. I have a friend that laughs because she knows a Chinese family that she loves, and they're always bad-mouthing other races, all races. Who cares? I mean, it's, you know, who cares? It's just a small amount. I truly love every one of my brothers and sisters. I really do. Yeah. Whether they agree with me or not.
Yeah. But they don't show all the love that there is, you know, like you have to see that on the side, right? Like all the people that do love each other, all the people that aren't racist, that's what's predominantly happening.
I think people in general, especially the patriots, if you'll call them patriots, we're getting tired of nothing being done about it. And I know I support President Trump because I don't listen to mainstream media, first of all. And I actually go to the whitehouse.gov. I listen to press conference. I listen to everything. I go straight to the source. I can think for myself. I don't need anybody telling me how to think. So I forgot what I was going to say.
I would like to challenge all the people that mock Donald Trump because you said mockery on the mainstream news. I challenge you to go to the site that Jamia just recommended and listen to him actually speaking, because they're picking out things and they're making comments. We could do that to anybody's life. We could do that to your life. We could take parts of your life where maybe you did something weird or something, and all the little parts of your life where you did stupid things, and we could put them all out there and say, that's what you are like. So you have to decide for yourself. Right. You have to go and listen to his whole speeches and listen to everything he's saying and watch the things that he's doing, and then decide, instead of let someone tell you, oh, look at this big clown.
Yeah.
You know, I fell for it too. You know, before I realized that I was just, you know, thinking that without even knowing what I was thinking.
It's like they'll take snippets and then they'll turn it around, and it's not even what he said. So like you said, you have to listen to the whole thing. Mm-hmm. And it was just, I didn't even give it any, I was like, I rolled my eyes when it's actually brilliant when he was talking, and he talked about injecting the light into the body, the UV light, because that is a very high tech healing source. And then they came out and said, oh, he's telling everybody to drink bleach. You know, it's like, if you can't see what they did and see what they did there, you don't want to. You are so absorbed in your personal opinion that you're not even open to facts. And you don't have to like a personality, but you better be looking. Oh, that's what I was going to say a minute ago. You have to look at the policies. You have to look at what the person's trying to do, their intent. There is so many things that Donald Trump has signed into order, has corrected, and has taken care of on so many levels that it's mind-boggling, and none of them are reported.
Yeah.
Has anybody really asked where ISIS has been?
Right.
They're gone. You know why they're gone?
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump took out eight terrorist leaders.
No, you don't hear it. You know, and
don't hear that.
That's what makes it suspicious. Look at, if mainstream media doesn't say one good thing about him, that's that makes it highly suspicious. Because have you ever, like, I don't really watch mainstream news, so I don't really know, but I know that when I turn on my computer and I go into my browser, news reports come up, and I don't know why they come up. I don't know how to get rid of them. But every single news report like that I've ever seen, headline about Donald Trump, has been negative. So why is it that a person who has had that many people vote for him, and that many people like, and has done that many things, these things, what he did about jobs and all this other stuff, how come they can't say one good thing about him? Doesn't that make you suspicious? Doesn't it make you suspicious that they don't let doctors have a platform who are saying something opposing the narrative? Doesn't that make you suspicious? Like, if a one-sided narrative is being pushed, why would you trust them? Because if it was honest information, it would be welcome. It would welcome debate. If this whole pandemic thing was a valid virus, then they would have open forums where they would allow other doctors and other medical experts to say their thing. So doesn't that make it suspicious that there's no open, honest discussion? And the same thing with Donald Trump, or anything where one side is being pushed and the other side is being mocked. That's got to make you suspicious. We can't lose our critical thinking skills. You know,
exactly. You just said it. Critical thinking. You have to be a free thinker. You have to question. So the people that have bought into this ideology, the narrative, the belief, and then they watch these news shows, they're not using critical thinking. Mm-hmm. They're under mass hypnosis. They're watching this, and it's feeding that emotional grip, the mass hypnosis, so they don't question anything. So if you have a free thinker that questions things, it's very incredibly, I don't know of any, to be perfectly honest, that they're a mainstream media watcher. Okay. Now, when I'm at work, if I go in the break room and somebody's flipped it on to mainstream media, typically CNN or CSNBC, I sit there and I watch that, and it's heinous. It is disgusting. The sick and vile things that these people say that are absolute just lies, absolute lies. And I'm watching the people around me, and I can tell who's awake and who's not. Totally. And I just go into total observer mode. Now, a couple times it's hooked me in, and it's really irritated me, and I'm like, oh no, and then I have to say it's not real. You know, this is a play that we're playing out. You know, it's a simulation. I'm not giving energy to that because I know God wins. That's what I always have to go back to. Yeah. But we have to start thinking for ourselves. We have to start turning off the mainstream media. We have to stop allowing ourselves to be programmed. It's a mass hypnosis, and we've got to help wake people up. You know, there's a lot of times that I just want to be like, I'm out. I can't. That's why we're here, Dee. That's why we're here at this time.
Yeah. And I think there seemed to be like a double agent kind of thing happening, where there's some channels that are coming up that are claiming to be against mainstream media, and meanwhile they're pushing a narrative that seems like it's the mainstream media. What is that thing where you become your own enemy? You know, where you you play both, you're actually on both sides. Cause I've seen that, where I've seen channels coming out where they pretend that they're against mainstream news, but yet what they're pushing is also the same kind of crap, right? But so they
Right.
want to get subscribers or people watching them by them saying that they're against all that. And meanwhile, when you listen to what they're saying, you know what I mean? So now they're infiltrating in that way too, where they're claiming to be against media because they know that a lot of people are onto it now. Like,
right.
The thing is that more and more people are waking up. More and more people are realizing the one-sidedness of the mainstream media, and more people are realizing what's happening to our world. Like what's happening, they're shutting down our world. They shut down our world. Like, we can't live like we lived before, and it breaks my heart even when I go into restaurants where, the waiters have to wear masks. And I don't blame them because they have to, have their jobs or whatever. And the tables are separated and all this other kind of stuff is happening. And it's kind of like, we have to get used to this as our new normal or whatever. And it's like, no, this is not my
There's
new
nothing normal about it. There's
Exactly.
nothing normal about it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And I know for a fact that as soon as those waiters go to the back, they're taking it off and breathing. And I hope they do. Because I understand why they have to wear it. And I understand why the people that, are working in these places, why they have to do what they do, because they have to, just like you have to put the food on the table. You have to get your paycheck, right? So you have to do what you got to do. But
well, put it this way. If I wasn't a single mom, I wouldn't be working there. I would have moved or done whatever, but being a single mom and have to be in the area and take care of him, right now, I just kind of have to do what I can to take care of us, and then breathe deeply and do not consent. And I have all sorts of little rituals that I do before I put my mask on and all of that. So,
yeah. I know it's like, it's that same thing about, when you know that, like, you're not going to argue with somebody because you can tell that, like, some people, you can't, like, you can't, like, well, you're just going to, somebody who believes something and you're just going to tell them how it is and they're going to go, oh yeah, you're right. Like, really, that's not what happens, right? People will stick to their viewpoint, really, they'll defend their viewpoint. And so it's kind of like when you're in a situation like that, that saying anything is not going to change their mind. And so you can, what was I going to say about that? Oh, but then you tell yourself inside, right? I'm going to say reality transurfing. There's that saying about rent yourself out, and it's kind of like, and so it's kind of like, but then I tell myself inside, hey, I'm just renting myself out here. Like,
absolutely. Same deal.
Messages we tell ourselves, right? Like,
that's right.
I'm doing this, but just so you know, this is not where we're at, and
that's right.
What I would do if I was wearing a mask too, like you do, right? Just telling myself, no, this is not our new normal. This is not what we're doing. This is not, I don't consent. So, Pamela Popper, her name is, right? She's doing
Pam Popper.
Yeah, she's actually doing stuff where she's organizing people, right, to do stuff. This is the kind of thing that is really going to help, right? Because they're taking action, right? You can't just sit back and let them do it.
And I really do believe, Dee, I think there's more people that are awake and are awakening every day, hence the Great Awakening.
Right.
But they don't want you to believe that. That's just like the polls coming out. Oh, Biden has a 40-point lead on Donald. BS. Who are you polling? Because 90% of the people that I talk to are totally up on it. And I mean, come on, really?
And you know what?
Who believes that? Who believes that?
Did you see that documentary on Netflix about Jeffrey Epstein, and that they didn't even mention that Biden's island is right there? Like, how did they leave that out? Biden has an island right there beside his, and they don't mention that?
Yeah, and then they tried. That's another one that tried to make it seem like Donald Trump and Epstein were friends. No, when I start watching stuff like that and I can just see straight through it, and it's not based on my belief system, it's based on research that I've done. I'm not biased. I mean, has Donald Trump done things that I'm like, oh my God, yes. Yeah, but I don't have to live with the guy. I mean, but I tell you what, if he's fighting for me, I've got his back. And it was funny. I might have told you this. I don't remember. A few years before he ever even mentioned running for president, we were out, my family was out on the deck one day and we were just talking. And I'm like, to be perfectly honest, and I voted for Obama the first time, but by golly, I didn't vote for him the second time because I woke up and I was researching and I found out the facts. So we were talking about all that. And I said, I tell you what, we need a good businessman in there. And I tell you who'd do a good job is Donald Trump. And I said, I said, I would back him 100% if he ever decided to run for president. Of course, we talked about that for a minute, went on to the other things. So when he came out, he was running for president. I was like, yeah. So I'd been there through the whole fight. I mean, when he first started running, you know, and people were coming out and, you know, they were just slamming him, and they were still fighting him because he's not cabal. They can't get away with stuff.
Yeah, well, and
so
that's why they're making him look so bad, because he's one of the first presidents in a long time, maybe since Kennedy, maybe, I don't know, who hasn't been in the cabal, right? And that's why they're giving him a bad image, and they're doing everything to make him have a bad image. And you know what, like God bless him that he goes, like, he doesn't care, like he's gonna do it. And it's like, because he really loves America, like he really does.
He does. Yeah,
he has. And the only reason he ran for president is because nobody else was going to do it, right? The way that he's
the military went to him. The military went to him and brought forth everything to him on what was going on in the underground dumps and all of that. And God bless his soul, he signed up for it. I mean, he didn't have to do that.
Yeah.
He could be holidaying out and playing golf every day and enjoying his marriage, you know, and doing that. But instead, he took it on. He doesn't even get a paycheck. He donates each paycheck.
Yeah.
I don't understand. It's just the mainstream media has such a grasp on so many people and have programmed so many people on skewing facts. He was loved by so many people before he ran for president. Yeah. I mean, he helped the Black community. He helped so many different things. Helped women. He actually was one of the first people, was the first person in New York to hire a female lead on a construction site, but yet he's anti-woman. Really? You obviously haven't done your research. Incredibly generous, has paid off people's mortgages. I mean, just story after story after story. But once he ran for president, though, and the cabal knew that they were going to have a problem, the hit pieces started, and so many people bought into it. Yeah. So I just pray that more people will start figuring out who Donald Trump the man is. And I really tell people, like you said earlier, watch the whole speech from beginning to end. Yeah. Watch the State of the Union address from beginning to end, because it's 100% about unity and banding together and making this country awesome. And actually, he's making the world awesome because he is so loved in other countries. India, Japan, love him. Oh my gosh, have parades for him and everything else. So many people that I know in the UK are like, we'd love to have Donald Trump as our president, because they can see what he's doing, and he's actually in more control right now than a lot of people think that he is. Yeah. And we're really making headway. So the light is winning. We are winning.
Yes. Yes. And so it's very, very exciting, actually. You know, it's like the best movie to be in, you know, when, you know, this is happening, where the light is winning in this way, and you know, all the mockery of him and everything and all that is like, it's just like coming on so strong. It's like, why don't they say one good thing about him? Are you serious? There's not one good thing you can say about him? Not one. All you can do is mock him. Then who are you? You know? And I fell for it too, and I think that's why, you know, I'm like, oh my God, like I fell for it. You know, a
lot of people did.
Was a big buffoon and all this, because that's how he was being portrayed. And it's like, all of you people who think that, who only get it in the mainstream news, please go to the government site and go and listen to him and judge for yourself, instead of somebody telling you, look at this big buffoon and what he's. But also, I was thinking, like, maybe it's not a bad idea that people are laughing at him, because they didn't think he was smart enough to pull it off. As far as the cabal and the deep state goes, they go like, oh, he's too much of an idiot. He could never take us down, and we'll be, and they get all smug about it. So maybe he's like, go ahead, laugh at me, think I'm a buffoon, because behind the scenes, I'll take you down.
Yep.
Maybe that's part of it, and maybe that's one of the reasons why he doesn't care.
One step ahead.
Yeah.
One step ahead. One step ahead. Yeah.
Have they ever tried to kill him? Have there been any?
Absolutely. There's been several. Yeah, several attempts.
Okay, because I haven't heard about that. Not that I hear about everything, but interesting. And so, did they catch the people who tried to do it, or?
Oh, I don't know about that. I don't think so. It's all cabal related.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and it's like it's interesting too that when John F. Kennedy was shot, that that's when the CIA coined conspiracy theorists. Anyone who questioned the narrative about what happened with JF Kennedy was called a conspiracy theorist. So that gave it the negative connotation to the term. And then ever since that, I don't see you. But
nope, you're good. I'm here.
But it's kind of like anybody who wants to think for themselves or wants to, question something, that they're a conspiracy theorist, right? So in other words, if you think for yourself, and it's like, why not think? And like now, when you look back on these things, like when you look back on JF Kennedy and 9/11 and all that stuff, you go like, boy, do they ever do a good job of bamboozling people, eh? Because there was one of the guys that said, hey, if you put it on TV, they'll believe it, right? The masses will believe whatever you tell them on the TV, right? True. And so like, and wasn't John F. Kennedy like lured? He was lured to Dallas, like that whole thing, like they like all of a sudden he's going to be in Dallas in this open, open thing, driving around. And it's like when you look back on all of that whole thing. I mean, I was 8 years old when that happened. You were probably not even born yet. I don't know.
Right. I was born in 1967.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
But yeah, supposedly George Bush and all the cabal related on that, he was really wanting to go to the gold standard and get off fiat currency and kind of destroy the Federal Reserve, which is what President Trump's doing right now, to get our money back where it needs to be. And they weren't having that. And then supposedly right before 9/11, that was when that Jassar and Nassar was supposed to be going to effect. Well, they weren't having that. So that's what happens there. Yeah. So actually, conspiracy realist is a funny term because that's actually a CIA term that was put out to make fun of people with critical thinking.
Exactly.
So, and some people go over, some people, as with everything, go off the deep end sometimes, but critical thinking cannot be stressed enough, and if somebody wants to call me a conspiracy theorist, go ahead. But as Missi says, we're going to call ourselves conspiracy realists. Because that's more of what it is.
Or just how about just people who think for them, critical thinkers? How about that? But also like the whole thing about speaking of the Federal Reserve, all the guys who were against the Federal Reserve got killed in the Titanic when the Titanic went down. And
it's interesting, isn't it? Yeah.
It wasn't even the Titanic; it was the Olympia, right? So I mean, you hear all this different stuff, and you go, "Well, that's a big fat coincidence that all the guys who were against the Federal Reserve died in the Titanic crash, right?" It's like. So you're just saying, well, that's interesting. Like, what a coincidence.
And that's the best thing you could say, too, when you see something that's interesting and then look into it a little bit. The worst thing you can do is buy into it immediately. And so many people buy into things immediately. And it could be on either side, critical thinking. The main thing I think that so many of us that are awake to what's going on, that can handle what's going on, can look at it. We're going to be the solid rock for the people that aren't awake, that when all of this stuff does come out, they're going to be absolutely mortified.
Yeah.
Right.
Are they going to see it?
Yeah. And there's such absolutely horrific videos and recordings on the dark web. And a few have leaked out to just regular internet searches that I think a lot of them have been taken down, but absolutely horrific, mind-boggling, can't even imagine, worst horror movie type stuff that is on tape that Hillary Clinton has done and other people, celebrities have done, that it's just people are going to, they're going to freak out
Well,
because.
and I mean, I heard that the police who saw those videos suddenly died of suicide, right?
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah. And then,
Hey, speaking of jokes, I do like the joke where the meme where the woman answers the phone like suicide hotline, and then Hillary Clinton goes, "I'd like to place an order."
yeah. Whew.
Okay,
Yeah,
I
that's
get
a
that.
whole thing.
But also some,
Yeah.
funny joke. But I mean, like the thing about it is, there's that many people
Yeah.
in the wake, and they're still not behind bars, or are they behind bars? I don't know. I mean,
Well, that's a whole thing too.
because you
That's a
hear
whole thing too.
those stories, you hear that some of these people are already executed, right? And so,
Right.
you don't know, right, about everything you hear.
Well, President Trump, about months ago, I don't know the exact date, but put back into the order of federal executions. So there you go. And if it's a military tribunal, it doesn't have to, it's typically not put out there on any type of media or anything like that. And I don't know, there's a lot of things going on right now with trips to Gitmo and all of that. So I'll just be glad when it all comes out and a lot of these, people are exposed for who they are, and we can get on with our humanity as loving beings, because that's who we are. We are love. We came from love. We are love. So, and we can't lose touch with that. And I'm all for people exploring, getting facts, doing research, but I also don't want anybody looking at things they're not ready to see. And, like I had said earlier, your capacity to hold the light is in direct correlation with your capacity to hold the darkness. So it's not that one person is more spiritually evolved than another, or better or anything like that. Doesn't have anything to do with it. It's about this whole third dimension, fourth dimension, fifth dimension reality, that we're moving up to the fifth dimension reality. And like it or not, we live in a third dimensional reality, and these things are here, and we need to expose that and bring it to the light and become aware of it and let that go and bring light into it, so we can all move up to the fifth dimensional reality and beyond. But I think most of us right now are in that fourth dimensional, moving up to the fifth dimensional. But if you're going to stay down here in the third dimensional reality and ignore everything that's going on and stay with the mainstream media and the narrative, you're actually agreeing to what the cabal is doing and saying that it's okay. By buying into that narrative, you're allowing it to happen. You're saying it's okay to make me a slave. It's okay to make me a debt slave. It's okay to muzzle me. You're agreeing to that. That's not a good idea. Not a good idea. It's your choice, but I'm moving on. And I'm trying to take as many people with me as I possibly can, because it's about service to others, not service to self. That's why we are here.
Do you think there's different versions of reality, and so that there's going to be a version of reality where the deep state does take over and people are living oppressed, and they do become,
absolutely,
and then there's a world that doesn't? So it seems
absolutely
like it's splitting right now, it seems like.
Yep, absolutely, yes.
And then we have to be careful with what we align ourselves with, right? Because what we align ourselves with, that's where that's the version of reality we're gonna be in, right?
Right. And I want to go to the reality to where this stuff is exposed. It's in our awareness. And if it's in our awareness and we've defeated it, where we go is absolute beauty of prosperity, love, caring, unity. That's where
we're going.
I want everybody to go.
And free energy, man. The energy is in the ether, you know, and like we've had that
Absolutely.
technology for so long and it's been repressed, and it's time for that, you know, people don't have to pay electric bills anymore, you know, because, you know, you need your device, but then it's just going to, you know, you
Right.
don't gas, electricity, whatever. And hydro dams are so ancient, like it's 100-year-old technology. I mean, until I retired, I worked for the hydro company here in Manitoba, and we actually have dams and produce electricity. But it's like, it's 100-year-old technology, and all this other technology exists, and it's just been suppressed. And that's another big part of all of this. Because I think that's one of the things Trump has even mentioned too, about the energy, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
We're not suppressing.
If people will listen to him,
yeah,
really listen to him, he tells you what you need to know. He's telling you what he's working for without being blunt about it, because he has to be careful in what he says as well.
yes.
So, I don't know. It's just, we live in a very interesting time.
Yeah.
You know, and it is a spiritual awakening. We are literally in a spiritual war right now. And like I said, I just want as many people to come over and go over to that beautiful side as much as possible. So I'm not going to shut up anytime soon. I mean, I tried it. It didn't work. It didn't work. I tried.
How long did that last?
The theme of warrior has come up repeatedly in my life. So I'm just going to have to accept it and keep trying to spread information. And I tell everybody, don't believe a word I say.
Right.
Don't believe it. Research it. Look on your own. Look on your own and follow your heart and swallow it. You read something, swallow it and see how that feels in your body. And you're going to know if it's truth or not. Quit believing what somebody else is telling you. Start thinking for yourself. Wake up. Wake up.
Yeah. And if it makes you, if what you're reading or what you're seeing or what you're hearing makes you feel like you're empowered and you're a beautiful spiritual being and that kind of thing, then that's obviously the right thing, you know. And if you're reading something that's making you feel like you're being suppressed and you're being, you know, you're being pushed down and you're being held down and you know, that's probably not the right thing, you know. So we really got to go with how it feels.
Yeah, and like you said, question the narrative of everything. If you're reading something, question the narrative. What are they trying to tell me here?
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. Well, that's a wonderful note to end on. And I want to thank you so much, Jamia. We'll talk again soon, I know. Love you so much.
Yes. I love you. I love you so much. Yes.
I love you too. You're a beautiful light. So everybody, we're powerful spiritual beings. Woohoo!
And we win. The light wins. Always. God wins.
Yes. Okay.
We are winning.
Yeah.
Bye.